Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 12 after 8 o'clock Central African time. We cross over to Washington, D.C., and we are going to be talking to Mauri Saalakhan. He is a human rights advocate and director of operations for the Aafia Foundation. And I'm also very proud to say he's part of the Salam Media family. Salaam alaikum to you, dear brother Mauri Saalakhan. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my pleasure to be able to join you at this time, my sister.
Okay, let me just correct that. I see on the screen we have your full name, which I don't have on my script, and it is El-Hajj Mauri Saalakhan. Lovely to be finally talking with you directly. Listened and watched a number of your interviews. This time around, we are looking at the issue around. The majority of American Muslims agreeing that gun rules should be tightened. So this was a survey carried out. Talk to us about the survey and what do you, as a Muslim yourself, make of the findings of this survey on the gun laws in the United States of America?
Well, it doesn't surprise me that Muslims in the United States would be in harmony with the opinion of most Americans in this country. It's an opinion that has a kind of schizophrenic component to it in the sense that while on one hand we have a majority of Americans who state themselves to be in favor of stronger gun control regulations, when it comes down to actually exerting pressure on the authorities that have the ability to bring this kind of regulation into force, that becomes, another issue. Um, there was something, however, also about the study that was done that raises a bit of a concern for me. I tried to pull it up before this interview because I wanted to make sure that I read it correctly uh, before speaking on it, and but unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me. One of the things that if I recall correctly, it stated was that of the Muslims in America that are not in favor of stronger gun control. It stipulated that African American Muslims were not so much in favor of that. And if I read that correctly, is that what you read?
Yes, absolutely. You've actually preempted my next question. And I was going
Okay.
to ask you about the disparity of the white and the black Muslims, American Muslims issue on this matter, simply because you kind of wonder, as Muslims, we should be viewing a situation as Muslims and not as black and white. So, why this distinction? In the study, suggesting that white Muslims were more likely uh, than white Americans in the general public to believe gun laws should be stricter, but Black Muslims were more likely than Black Americans to believe laws covering the sale of firearms should be less strict. So, what went through my mind was possibly because maybe the discrimination against Black Americans in general, whether you're Muslim or not, could that be one of the reasons?
Well, for me, I seriously question that uh, published result. I question it because it is not my perspective, and it is not the perspective of the majority, the consensus opinion among African American Muslims with whom I have been in contact and have had this conversation with. So I wonder, I would have to wonder where this stat comes from. First of all, you raise a very prescient question, as to why there would be this uh, this uh,
Disparity,
distinction,
perhaps. Yes.
this demarcation between soliciting the opinion of African American Muslims versus Caucasian and other Muslims. Uh, you know that's a very astute question. I mean, why was that done? And but then for me, again, I would seriously question the validity of those findings, because that is not what I see.
What would be interesting is to have seen the actually research paper, the type of questions that were raised and how the questions were raised. Because sometimes when they carry out these studies, I often question, it's almost as if, they ask similar questions in 10 different ways, and it tends to trip you up, doesn't it?
Well, yes, I mean, the way that questions are raised in these types of studies, it can have a direct impact on the results uh, of the questions raised. So yes, but again, I'm really really curious to know, you know, how the questions were raised. Yes, and what block of uh, of folk this study was done with, because it doesn't jibe with what I personally feel and what I know to be the opinion of the vast majority of African American Muslims, again, with whom I have been in contact with over issues of this nature. I mean, you know, I am very much in favor of, for example, universal background checks with no loopholes, such as gun show purchases that allow for persons who shouldn't have the ability to purchase guns to be able to do so without the kind of checks that would otherwise be required. So I'm in favor of this. Again, background checks with no loopholes nationwide. I'm in favor of the government uh, putting an end to online ghost gun purchases. I mean, these are, guns, uh, you know, that can be purchased online with the instructions of how to put them together. You get all of the component parts sent to you in the mail with instructions on how to put it together. And these again are unregistered weapons that cannot be traced. I'm against that. I'm against, or I should say, I'm in favor of raising the minimum wage, the minimum age for any and all gun purchases, to the age of 21 nationwide in America. Um, Disallowing the purchase of military grade weaponry, just disallowing it. And then, also, you know, I'm in favor of ending the way that gun manufacturers and sellers are often shielded from accountability, from liability laws. The way it should be is if they mess up, they should be held to the same level of accountability as any other industry. And so, I mean, I'm in favor of these things. And again, the majority of African American Muslims with whom I've had discussions are in favor of these types of things. And so, where did this come
Okay,
from?
let's ask how who conducted the study, Are you in favor of the institute that has actually pushed the study forward? Then also the narrative us as Muslims need to put out there, because I'm sure you have plenty of discussions with non-Muslims and white Americans as well. How do you explain the reason for us as Muslims, uh, supporting this particular issue? This whole issue around non-violence and taking another life.
Okay, run that question by me again, please, sister.
The issue, the Muslim stance on, why we believe and why we saying no to guns and no to gun violence, how and why we revere life. It doesn't matter the color of your
Yeah,
skin, but we
right,
revere life
right.
is very, as far as we're concerned, it's sanctified, it's precious.
Absolutely. Life is sacrosanct. And this is one of the foundational principles of Islam. This is one of the foundational understandings of any committed Muslim who is knowledgeable of his or her deen. Life is precious. Life is sacred. I mean, we don't even take the lives of animals carefree. I mean, the penchant that many of our non-Muslim friends and neighbors have for hunting, for sport. This is something that is not agreeable to a Muslim mind. All life is sacred and should be taken. When it is taken, it has to be taken for a justifiable reason, and not just for sport or play or out of a sense of uh, uh, you know, a disturbed sense, a mindset that just doesn't regard life as being precious. I mean, this is something that we hold as a cardinal principle in Islam, and yeah, so
So, how do we move forward then, El-Hajj, regarding the Muslim view on gun ownership, gun laws, the taking of life, and the issue with this study, the result of the study being problematic for us as Muslims?
yeah. Well, you know something, I am so glad that you ended up bringing this study to my attention because I may not have otherwise known about it. Uh, it is this study, and especially what it has to say about African American Muslims, the members of my tribe. This is something that I am going to take as an issue to be thoroughly examined in the days ahead. In fact, I'm, you know, in the immediate days ahead, I'm going to be doing as much research as I possibly can, both with regard to who conducted this study, how they conducted it, and also raising the flag, raising my own concern um, to the way that we, especially my tribe, is being depicted in this study. As you know, and one of the twisted ironies of this is the fact that um, my community, my African American community, has been, disproportionately impacted by the availability, uh, the over availability of guns in America. We have been directly impacted by this uh, in very horrific ways, and so I mean we should be the last folk in America to be in favor of unrestricted regulations as it pertains to firearms. Uh, so yeah, this is going to become a priority for me in the days ahead to get to the bottom of how this study was conducted, how they came to this conclusion that African American Muslims are less in favor of sensible gun control laws uh, than uh, than other parts of the constituency here in America.
Okay, brother. So obviously, this is going to take a bit of time. You're going to have to do a lot of investigation on your own. How are you going to go out and change or fix this narrative about the African American Muslim community in favor of gun ownership? Uh, it's going to take a lot of hard work, and it's going to take a bit of time. But I'm sure already, as we've been speaking, lots of ideas have been popping into your head. How you're going to move forward on this matter?
Yes, we're going to. It shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, it's just going to require spending some time doing research, reaching out to the organization that is responsible for this study, finding out how it was they came, how they approached the study that they undertook, and how they came to this conclusion. And this shouldn't be that difficult. But what I'm also going to do is this. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to institute my own study. I'm going
Okay.
to reach out to different groups within the African American community, both Muslim and non-Muslim, but with an emphasis on Muslim groups nationwide. And I'm going to conduct my own poll, ask my brothers and sisters to weigh in on this question of how they feel about the gun laws as they are presently in the United States of America, and the question of would they be in favor of the laws being strengthened, and if so, how would they go about strengthening the laws? What are they in favor of in terms of strengthening the laws, and doing our part to reduce the incidence of
Gun
horrific
violence.
gun violence in
Absolutely.
America. So,
Brother El-Hajj Mauri
yes,
Khan, we look forward to those results as well. Please do
yes,
give us
yes,
a heads
yes,
up
absolutely.
once you have conducted that study. Wonderful talking with you this morning, while morning on my side of the world, middle of the night on your side of the world. We
Yes, it
appreciate
is.
your time. Till the next time, as always, Salaam alaikum to you.
Walaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh.
That was Brother Al-Hajj Mauri Saalakhan. He is a human rights advocate and director of operations for the Aafia Foundation, talking to us about a study carried out in the United States, and not happy with the results of that study. It seems skewed. He's going to go ahead and carry out his own study regarding gun laws and ownership in the United States. That brings us to 8:30 exactly. Do stand by. In a short while, we're going to be speaking with JP Smith regarding the disastrous floods in the Western Cape.